Let's get cracking. Anthony, you want to introduce yourself, kick off the show?
Yes, let me do one thing. Hold on. All right, Sarah's good. All right, guys, Anthony Angelillo, branch manager over here at Paramount Residential Mortgage Group, head of Tag Team Nation, LLC, CEO, founder of Tag Team Nation, which is a marketing company. Been doing this about 18 years now. And bottom line is what I've learned is partially in this episode that I can't wait to hear Sarah elaborate on is coaching. I came from a call center in Countrywide, and I grew all the way up to a branch position. And I can tell you proudly that it wasn't just myself, me and I doing that. It was always having a mentor and having someone to look up to. Back in the day, Michael Jordan still is one of my biggest mentors, Kobe Bryant. And, I think that today's episode is going to be badass because it's going to teach every one of you that you need accountability and you need a coach in this business. And that's what we're going to bring today. Most importantly, those of you that do not know who I am, I do lending and marketing. And we just got nominated as the #1 loan originator in the Miami-Dade sector for Miami Agent Magazine. And we're now heading into a direction where we're trying to get to 100 units a month in under 21 days. 14 to 21 days. So the goal is there. The goal is real. The goal is now live on Facebook, and we're putting it into the world, man.
How's that for accountability? 14 to 21 day close. All right. I hear that. I like that. Because you just hired your in-house underwriter. That is right. How we make that possible. So congrats.
She's honestly, amazing. So I'm excited to have her. So,
yeah, a little.
Yeah. Anthony, mute everybody one more time.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Awesome. All right. So hi, everyone. Melinda Grimaldi. I see a lot of new faces today. So thank you for joining us. My name is Melinda Grimaldi. I'm a real estate and title attorney and co-host Damage Control episode 30, which is pretty cool. Going strong. We're almost are we at 500 subscribers? I think we're right there. If not.
Yeah,
we're at 500 subscribers. So if you can't catch us live, you'll always catch the replay. It gets emailed to you after the show if you're subscribed, along with any materials or resources or things that we've either built out for you or that our guests have graciously shared with you guys. So if you haven't, if you just subscribed, you can go back and watch some of our old shows. If you need help with that, please let us know. We're happy to guide you to have access to those things. So the Damage Control is a show about real estate and business. Right? So how to get your deals right, how to get your business and marketing right. And so today I had the pleasure of having Sarah Desamours on the show. We've met a couple years ago. We're both from Montreal, so we clicked on that. So I love seeing her posts about being, our hometown and all that stuff. And she's a great cook. She's like a Renaissance woman. She cooks. She's a badass realtor. She's a mom. She's like super fit. I'm just in awe of her. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about yourself, Sarah, if you don't mind, and then we're going to get started right into the content.
Hey everyone, can you guys hear me well?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, because I just plugged my microphone, so I wasn't sure if it was working. So that was a great intro, Melinda. Thank you so much for introducing me that way. I'm very humbled. So yeah, Sarah Desamours, I'm a realtor with Compass, and I'm originally from Montreal, Canada. I've been living in Miami for 6 years now. Almost 6 years and a half. It's crazy. I can't believe time goes by really fast. Back in Canada, I was a mortgage lender. I worked for Scotiabank, or Bank of Nova Scotia. Wow. So this is something that is my background. So I'm very well-rounded when it comes to lending. The guidelines are much more complicated in Canada. It's more strict. That's why we don't really have foreclosures or anything like that. So, coming to Miami, I was able to bring the Northeast work ethic and the Northeast mentality to the South. And I speak almost four languages. So French, English. French is my mother tongue. English. I also speak Creole and a bit of Spanish. I can get by in Spanish. So yeah, I came here and, I liked what Anthony said about coaching, because I think that one of the reasons I'm still in business is because from the beginning I got coached and I got mentors. So yeah, this is who I am. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Sarah Desamours. It should be written, like if you see under my name, you'll see my Instagram, so you guys can follow me. And that's it.
Love it. So let's get straight into it. So you came here 6 years ago. And when did you start coaching? And what type of coaching was it?
Okay, so what I did, I initially wanted to get back into mortgages because, you know, that's what I did. I even worked when I was in college, I was working part-time in the underwriting department at the bank. So it's like, that was really my background. I always wanted to do real estate, but I was not sure about, you know, about just doing it full time. So when I moved here and I saw that the first thing I noticed was that there was a lack in real estate in terms of customer service. So I said, you know what, mortgage lenders here, it's not like in Canada. In Canada, they really meet with people all the time. They work in the branch. And here, like, you can do an entire transaction and not meet your mortgage lender once, right? So I was like, that's not for me. I'm more of a people person. So before going into real estate, what I did, since I was a lender, so all of my clients were realtors, what I did, I called all of like my top clients in Canada and I was like, hey, I'm going to go into real estate. What should I do? And like most of them told me two things. They said, number one, you need to go in full time. Don't like wing it. Don't do like the whole part-time thing. And most people were like, you know what? One of the things I regretted the most was not getting into coaching or getting a mentor from the beginning.
I can totally relate to that. I wish I would have done it earlier.
Yeah, everyone told me that. So for me, I'm like, I don't like to go into things halfway. And I said, you know, I'd rather like save up money a little bit more. That way I can afford to go full time and I can afford to get, you know, I couldn't afford, you know, expensive coaching at the time. But what I did, I joined Keller Williams at the time because they do have a coaching program and they have training and whatnot. So I was like, you know, that's great because it saves me a lot of money. And at the same time, you know, early on, I would say within the first year, I didn't stay in Keller Williams coaching. I got into another coaching that was like $400 a month, but it's literally the best investment you can make for your business.
Awesome. So what type of coaching was it that you got when you started at Keller Williams? I know they have different types of things that they assist with. I'm sure you needed coaching about like learning the ropes in real estate, right? So you had to do that.
The good thing at Keller Williams is that they had classes every day. And I would say anyone that's, and I'm not even with Keller Williams, I'm with Compass, but I say anyone who wants to become a realtor anywhere in the US, Keller Williams is #1 in the world for training. So thankfully what happened is that they had classes every single day, right? And then they also had programs that were like coaching. One of them is called Bold. You don't have to be a Keller Williams agent to do the Bold program. It's amazing. It's like an 8-week, I think it's an 8-week program, once a week, all day, once a week. It's amazing. Like I've done Bold twice and whenever I do it, there's agents from other companies. So they have a bunch of trainings that, you know, you can do group coaching, you can do personal coaching. But me personally, what I did this thing called productivity coaching, which at the time was like a percentage of my commission on every deal. But then I get like a coach. Basically, I get assigned a coach. So there's different things you can do at the beginning. Mentors are great. The only thing is a mentor sometimes is a very busy person. So they can't like talk to you twice a week or once a week, every single week, right? So I have a mentor. I'm lucky if I speak to him once a month because he's so busy. But when you get into coaching, it's more of a disciplined, consistent thing. So I highly suggest that.
So what were the reasons why you got so much benefit from coaching? Well, let me back up. When did you start one-on-one coaching?
Like the moment I started real estate.
Yeah. So one-on-one coaching, and how often were you coaching? What was your frequency? Every week? That's awesome. So what were the benefits from that? Was it the accountability? Was it them giving you structure? Where did you find that you needed it? What did you get from it?
So I can't say anything bad from it. Everything was good from it. Even if sometimes I was very annoyed, even if sometimes I was like, okay, why am I doing this? This is so annoying.
Just like mommy does.
Oh. I don't know who spoke, but anyway, I had benefits from the beginning. I think the accountability, and I think the most important thing that coaching does is that they force you to write down your goals and they force you to break it down by month, by like, let's say you say, okay, in 1 year, I want to do 100K. You break it down per month and then per week. And then, you know, what do you have to do specifically to get to that? Because sometimes you have this big idea in your head, but you don't really know how to get there, right? So a coach will help you figure all of that out and help you be more realistic with stuff and also hold you accountable. You know, let's say they tell you, listen, you need to call at least 5-10 people per day. You know, in your next week, they're going to be like, so how did the calls go? So if you didn't do the calls, it's on you. You know what I mean? Like your coach is there to help you out. They're not there. They don't benefit from your coaching. Only you benefit from your coaching.
Yeah, we just did that. We just set that up in our branch. To get to 100 units, we broke it down into compartments, team leaders, and then accountability coaches that are going to hold us accountable to hit our numbers in terms of 25 calls a day. And we just did this on damage control last episode, knowing your numbers.
Know your numbers, because that's part of it, right? How to
not going anywhere.
Yeah. I love that. So who are you currently coaching?
Yeah.
Who are you coaching with now?
I'm with Tom Ferry.
Okay. And weren't you recently on his podcast?
Yeah.
How cool is that? Imagine, your coach inviting you on his podcast. That's really cool.
It's not even
really
him.
impressive.
He's like the major person. He only coaches like Tyler Whitman, like the top realtors, but he has a bunch of like hundreds of coaches in his program.
Yeah.
So I got to like go on a podcast with him, which is huge.
That is super cool. How long have you been doing this program?
2 years, just a bit over 2 years now. And, I always knew it was the best one. It's like the number one, but it's the most expensive. So I was always like, I don't know, this is too expensive, but there's like no comparison to this one.
What's expensive? Like, I mean, it's all relative, right? So how much is it per month? Like what you're doing, just so people get an idea.
So I need a lot of accountability, guys. Everyone's different. Like me, I can easily like slide off the rail like very easily. So I need every week. Like if I could find coaching that's like twice a week, I probably would do it. But it's once a week and it's $1,200 a month.
$1,200 a month. That's a pretty penny, but that's not that bad. When I was coaching in the program I was in, I was paying almost $3,000 a month.
But it's worth it, no?
It was so worth it.
I would pay more. I would pay more for it because I'm getting like my coach even helped me save deals because sometimes there's a deal that you don't know what to do. You asked a million people, they don't know what to do. And then you're going to get someone that gives you a totally different perspective and helps you deal with that and stuff. So it's like, for me,
that's awesome.
Just one deal paid like for the whole year. So it's like,
yeah. There you go, man. I love that. But someone sometimes from the outside looking in saying, why don't you try this, right? Whether it's in a deal or in your business or what you're trying to accomplish. My coaching was, I had two coaches. I had one that helped me with like the financial side and one that helped me with my operations. So I credit all our systems to kind of stemmed from that, and it grew, and now it's even multiplied since then. I'm no longer in coaching, but I'm looking for something new. I don't want to do the same one. I want to try something different. But yeah, so that's something that I got to find, because when you do such good coaching, it was very good coaching that I had. Like, it's like sometimes you have to be careful with some coaches out there. There's a lot of, they promise a lot of things. They themselves have never maybe run a business. They've never done
exactly. And that's my issue. That's actually an issue I have with a lot of coaching, because nowadays everyone's a coach, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's a coach. Everyone's like a life coach. Everyone's like posting their photo with like a motivational message on it. Like, it's not like, if you have not sold real estate and if you have not had success selling real estate, I do not want to be coached by you, because there's no way that you can help me get to the next level if you've never done it or experienced it yourself.
Yeah.
Like my coach in Tom Ferry, you know why he's a coach? He's a coach because he has built such a huge, gigantic team. He doesn't even have to really work anymore. So he's like, hey, let me coach to like try to help other people. But he has literally like a whole team in Fort Myers of like 20 agents. So that's one thing. So if anyone is like considering any type of coaching, I think it's really important to interview your coach and to figure out what you're looking for. There's people that do a lot of door knocking. Try to find a coach that knows a lot about that. I do a lot of social media and a lot of digital stuff. So I didn't want a coach. I was like, are you going to go knock on your past clients' doors and leave them gifts? Like, I don't have time for that. There's people that do, but that's not how I operate. So it's important to find a coach or any type of coaching program that fits with your market and what you do. I also wanted a coach in Florida, because if I get a coach in Ohio, maybe they're not going to understand how it's a secondary market here. So there's things we need to do differently here.
Yes.
So
yes. Awesome. So yeah, like finding the right fit with the coaches is super important. So you were saying I operate differently in your business. So I want to pivot a little bit to that, about like the type of real estate you sell. I know we spoke in the promos, we had you talking about some luxury real estate and how you pitch, you moved to Florida, you didn't really know anybody. And now 6 years later, you're with Compass and you're doing these high-end properties. So why don't you tell us how you got into that area? Because I know a lot of people here actually they gave me some feedback in these last few days. I want to hear about this because I want to try to get into it. So they want to hear that from you.
Well, the first thing I would want to say is that no matter what you want to do, you need to get experience. So higher end listings and higher end clients are a lot of times way more educated. So it's very important that you know the business really well, that you keep educating yourself. So I never said, oh, I'm only going to do high end. I'm only going to do luxury. I'm actually very happy. And I found that I learned the most on smaller deals. I've had small deals like literally go through hell and back and be super difficult, and you have to deal with different personalities and whatnot. And then at the higher end level, it gets even more complex sometimes. So if you can't handle a deal at the lower level, you're going to have a lot of trouble at the higher level. So I say that any experience is amazing experience if you want to go into luxury. One of my most expensive clients that I had, well, one of my biggest deals that I had this year came from a rental that I had a couple of years ago. So it's someone that I helped for a rental, went super, super well. And then a couple of years later, it's like they're buying like a $1.5 million house, right? So it's like, you never know where people are going to go or who they can refer you to. Another one of my biggest referrals that I get is someone that works at UM. And I first helped him for a rental, and then I helped him buy a house. I think they paid $250,000 at the time. But this guy refers me to like all the professors at UM and a bunch of people at UM. So I think it's really important to just get really, really good at what you do. Get really good about real estate, get really good about whatever neighborhoods you want to focus on, get really good about having a good network of people, because, you know, I'm sure, Anthony, I've never worked with you, but I'm sure you're an amazing lender. But as a realtor, you need to have at least 2 lenders, because you might have like I'll give you an example. I have my people from Canada, you know, people from Canada only want to work with attorneys. They don't want to work with a title company. So it's good to have a good network to know, okay, like if I have this type of client, maybe they might be a better fit with that lender, right? Like it's very, very important to build your network and to have people that you trust, so that any type of client that you have, you can refer them to the right people.
You mentioned one thing that caught my attention is, as you progressively go more and more in depth in terms of luxury real estate, you're going to have a consumer that's more astute, right?
Yeah.
Knows their stuff, they're financially successful, they're an entrepreneur.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, right? In a good day. How has your broker background impacted all of that? Because you were a mortgage broker.
That's been huge. That's been like, honestly, and I think that's something I even tell on I have a couple of realtors on my team also. I say, guys, you need to get really good with lending. Like you need to understand what's happening, because then you're not going to waste your time. You're not going to waste your time anymore. You're going to do things, you're going to operate completely differently. So me, for example, someone just called me, hey, just send me a couple of listings. I'm like, no. I'm like, no. And even if they're like, oh, I'm pre-approved, I'm like, send me the letter. Let me take a look at it. Because if I see that how many times are people sending me something from like Quicken Loans, some BS that like they got like online that's like not even real, or some, you know, it's not even like a good pre-approval. Or sometimes another thing that I do, if you give me a pre-approval, I'm calling the lender, and if the lender is like, blah, 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 then I don't think that's a good pre-approval, or maybe the lender doesn't even remember. You know, if a lender is like, oh, give me a second, let me pull up the file, then I'm like, oh, that's good. That means you actually ran numbers. That means you actually like got their income, because, you know, in Miami especially, we have a lot of self-employed people. So when it comes to being self-employed, it's not always black and white, right? Sometimes we need 2 years of income, we need credit, we need different things. So when you're as a realtor, you don't want to like work with a client for 3 months and then for the deal to fall through. And I've had that happen to me, even with my mortgage background. So imagine if you don't understand anything. If people don't understand when, you know, the underwriters, which I call the underwriters, they're like the mortgage police, right?
Yeah.
You're giving out this big loan, and then you have the mortgage police that wants to check everything. So you have to understand the process of how it goes and why. This is not like I tell people, it's not like a $20,000 credit card. It's like a $500,000 credit card or 300. So, you know, lenders have to do their due diligence and make sure the person can pay it back. Yeah. So I think that it's important to develop a relationship with a lender and to ask questions, because then you can help your client better.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
come on, damage control, because we're always talking about these little specifics to help you better, steer you through the loan situation, title and contracts and all that stuff. We had reviewing DUs and understanding pre-approval letters episode a couple weeks back or last month. So the idea, and we're bringing these to you guys because it's not your job to prepare them, but it's your job to be able to navigate your client through the process. And if you don't know the process enough to do that navigation, you really can't.
And to reassure them too, because it's scary.
Yes.
It can be scary, but if you understand what's going on, it's just, hey guys, like, don't worry. Like, this is how the process, it's going to suck to go online and upload all of your documents. But once you do it, you're done, like just do it once. Yeah. And then you're going to be done. If you don't do it, how is the lender going to know if they can lend you $400,000? That's a lot of money, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Just, when you understand things better, you're more confident and you can help people more and you can appease them when they're stressed out.
Yeah, for sure.
So Sarah's mentioned that you guys got to be a master of your craft and not just say, hey, I could do it all. I know real estate, I know title, I know lender. You need to be experienced in your field of work. And then once you're that master, then you can go to the next project. And guiding that consumer is going to navigate them through serious situations because you know numbers or you know title, you know how the process works, like Melinda said. So that's extremely important to understand.
Sarah, can I ask a quick, sorry to interrupt you, Anthony. My name is Noel. I'm with Anthony's team. And question, so one of the hard stops for you and for your team is if the realtor and all the realtors here, they should be calling that lender and holding them accountable
100%.
on a pre-approval. I think that's awesome that you do that. Actually, we should be calling out to listing and buyer's agent, going through and pitching how strong that pre-approval letter is.
100%.
Right? For your team, what are two other hard stops that you absolutely cannot tolerate from a lender?
So there's lenders from different people. If a lender is rude and doesn't have customer service, I don't want to work with them. And, sometimes it works with certain clients or with some clients, it might work with them, or if they already have a relationship with that lender. But for me, I think it's important. Let's say I have a newer agent on my team and he has a couple of questions. I've seen lenders be super rude to them. And for me, I'm like, how are you supposed to develop a relationship and for us to trust you to send our clients if there's no customer service, which not to bash Miami, but there's a huge lack in customer service here, which is totally fine, for some people. But for me, because customer service is the number one thing in my business, and it's the reason why I was able to come here and not know anyone and be able to get clients. It's really because of customer service. So I think it's not just on the lender side, but on the title, real estate, the whole team has to have the same goal, which is to close the transaction and for clients to be happy and for them to refer you.
And trust that everybody's going to stay in their lane and do what they need to do. So it's a trust thing, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And just, communication is really important. Gotcha. Another thing that I need lenders to, just for me as a realtor, it's very important that the lenders know what they're doing. And even if they're not sure about something, for them to propose different solutions or to be creative. Okay,
and communicate them.
Yes, I was just
communicate.
Communication.
I think being creative is important in every business part of the cycle, right? Because there's always challenges that we have to overcome, and looking outside the box, working outside the box is what we're going to need to do. But when it comes to no matter what, even if you can't do nothing, even if you're not sure, even if you're still waiting for a response, picking up the phone, responding, saying we're still working on it, or and not just, turning down those emails or keeping them and deleting them or not picking up the phone, because to me, that's the worst.
That's the worst. Even if you're still waiting for something, just be like, I'm so sorry, I'm still waiting. It takes 2 seconds. And I think that's so important, because a real estate transaction, I tell that to my clients, it's like those 45 days or a 45 days of semi-heart attack. And then you're like, right?
Yes, so I can attest. So we just closed.
During those 45 days, if there's anything that we can do to make things better, even just communication, even as realtors, if you don't know the answer to a question, instead of just saying something that makes no sense, just say, hey, let me find out for you and I'll get back to you.
that's what I want to elaborate on because we have a lot to go over. So let me end it here. But ladies and gents, it is not it's not what you say, it's how you say it. I always say that, right? So basically you need to know the content. If you don't know the content, pick up the phone, call Melinda, pick up the phone, call Sarah, pick up the phone, call your lender, okay, and get the answer. And then understand where you possibly could have gone wrong, and in essence, fix that and understand that that's how you're going to learn. You're not going to know mortgage broker in 101 in one day, but you can start learning that stuff as you go and you get seasoned in the business. Yeah. That's basically what Sarah's saying. Now, granted, you have a broker background that helps you. So, all right, what else do we got here? We got a lot of stuff. So next topic.
Well, I want to stay on the luxury. So okay. Your first step is to just be a master of your craft and keep building and building, providing good customer service. But then how do you get your feet wet? Like, where does that start? And then when you do, how does servicing a higher end client differ from a normal, like average price property client?
Okay, so for me to, when I started off, I had no money and I had no budget and I had no marketing and I had no, I had nothing. So I learned how to cold call. I learned how to call expireds. So expired listings are like low hanging fruit. Those are people that really want to sell their house and it didn't work out with their other realtors. So my first $1 million listing that I got was from an expired listing that I cold called. So if you don't know how to get clients, you can learn how to cold call. You can call for sell by owners, you can call expireds, and it doesn't matter. Like I never had sold a property. I think that at the time, the highest property I sold was like 450,000. And I just didn't say that because if you get along with someone, you get along with someone. They're not going to care if you haven't sold. Like they won't maybe even ask that if you really get along with someone. So that's what happened. I got the listing the moment that I went on the presentation, just because we were talking and we were just, we just got along and it worked. And I told him also, I said, listen, maybe you don't know my name, maybe I look newer, but I'll be the hardest working realtor you'll ever work with. And they were like, oh, this is great. And I got the listing. And then, so that's one way to get listings. Another way to get clients at that price point, and I said that in the Tom Ferry podcast also, is whatever it is that you like doing, try to do it in a neighborhood that's expensive, right? So Melinda explained at the beginning, I really like to work out. So it's like, well, instead of working out at UFIT,
Equinox.
That's exactly, no, it's a mark. You guys have no idea how many clients I got because I work out at Equinox. Like,
you do work out at Equinox. I guess that.
I do. I work, but I didn't know at first I did go to Equinox. At first, because I couldn't afford the freaking, like, what was it? Like 150, 200 a month. Yeah. I was like, I have no money. So like, I couldn't work out at Equinox. So what I did, I went to LA Fitness, but in South Miami, the one on Sunset. So I'm like, okay, that's a start, like LA Fitness, little by little. So I went to South Miami. So you have more people. It's like a higher price point. I'm like, okay, I started off there. But I'm very picky with like dirty machines and stuff. So I was like, I don't know. After a couple of months, I'm like, let me try Equinox. And at first, at first it was more like, okay, no one's talking to me really or whatnot. And then next thing you know, I'm going to a happy hour and people come out, hey, you could work out at my gym. And it's like another attorney. And then, or like, hey, I've seen you at my gym. And it's like a judge, like
yeah.
Have more income.
Hello? Hello, Andrea? Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
I muted it.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, so I tell people, like, if you like to golf, instead of going to golf, like in one place, try to maybe go golf, in the Gables, like try to, whatever it is that you like doing, try doing them in more expensive places. Even like you want to go have coffee at Starbucks, try to find a Starbucks in like a neighborhood that you want to farm or a neighborhood that just to hang out there. And one thing that I like to tell people also, don't be afraid to be alone because, people will talk to you more when you're by yourself, by the way. So if you're like by yourself having coffee or like at a bar or something, like people talk to you more. Another thing that I did, so I did the cold calling. I started hanging out in like doing the stuff that I like and another thing that I did is that I'm a huge like art geek, like huge, like I love art. So I joined like a couple of committees at the Perez Art Museum. And I think the Perez Art Museum is the best investment I've made in terms of like joining something, because everyone who's like a trustee or like a member of the Perez or someone who donates a lot to the museum, so you get invited to all of these events and then you get to meet a lot of people. And oh my God, this has enabled me. I'm so grateful for that. But just this year, just 4 attorneys from Ackerman that I've closed deals with this year, because I met them at the Perez. Well, I met one of them who like would introduce you to another. So, and again, that's not me trying to like go there to meet clients. Like I actually really love art and I'm a geek and I'm a collector. Like I really like it. So I joined the Perez, and then I just met like really awesome people. So whatever it is that you like to do, there's people that like to golf. I have a friend, she likes to do dancing, right? Like salsa, like there's different, try to find what you like to do, but in other neighborhoods or like within different organizations. It might be an investment, but the return on investment is huge.
That is one tip that we haven't had yet on the show.
I
love it. I love it. I love that idea. Honestly, it's a really great tip.
And it's inexpensive, to be honest.
Is to do it in the neighborhood. Like, I always see that I don't know how many agents I see like on their back of their laptop, like I sell real estate or whatever, those stickers, but sitting at Starbucks working in a neighborhood that you want to farm, or in a neighborhood that, has those higher end communities.
I even moved, just to tell you, I even moved to the Gables. Like that's to the point that like I had a lot of options. I could have moved to Edgewater. I could have moved somewhere else, but I said, let me move in the Gables. And like just on my floor, I met diplomats. I meet diplomats, like, or other people just walking my dog.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, sir. So when you just entered real estate, did you go to those social events, or were you?
Yeah, I had no choice. I had no clients.
I mean, most do, right? So I choose not to go to those social events. I don't drink, so I mean, I never.
You don't have to drink.
Exactly. So my way of getting business is running groups and things of that nature that I like. The gym. But this is a tip. We call it a DC tip.
Which one?
Going and to the Equinox gyms, and
I love that. I love that.
My entire staff, man, signed up to Equinox today.
But it's not just Equinox. There's Anatomy. There's Barry.
Yeah,
and
depending on
the thing is, in Miami, you throw a rock and someone's a realtor. So like, I'm not gonna go to and the thing is, I'm a single mom too. And I'm also I'm a single mom with a daughter. I have her most of the time. I can't just go to every event. So I'm very picky with where I go. I'm not gonna go to events where there's a bunch of realtors. I'm gonna be very, even at the Perez, there's a couple of other realtors in the Perez, but we're all totally different people. We're literally there's one of the realtors at the Perez. I admire her so much, but she's like older. She's in her 50s. She's more seasoned. She's even referred me clients. Because she's like, listen, I got those clients. They're like all into social media. They want me to text them links. She's like, I don't know how to do that. So here you go. So, and I've had clients that were like, hey, I'm looking more up north, and they wanted someone more seasoned. So I referred them to her. So I just try to go to events where, there's not like a million realtors, because that's a waste of my time. Most realtors, but if you go to an event and there's a couple of realtors, it's fine, because you're going to get along with who you get along with. So if you follow, I don't know if you guys like Ryan Serhant talks about that.
Yeah, I was going to say in his book, he talks about that.
But it's crazy. I started doing that before I listened to the book. So I was like, oh, this is like, I figured that out, because just budget wise, I'm like, I cannot afford to pay $1,000 for a chamber. I couldn't afford that at the time. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, let's say, even if I paid $1,000 for a chamber, I said, okay, they have 2 events a month maybe, but I'm like, if I pay $200 a month for the gym, I'm there 3-4 times a week.
No.
And there's all types of realtors in chambers. It's like,
oh my God, yeah.
So many, right? So you really have to.
Chambers, that people are like wanting your business and stuff. Like, it's different when you're just at the gym or I would say even golfing, or even at the museum, like we're there for a common goal. We're there for like art, or we're there to work out. And then eventually you talk to people, and then you can make friends that way. I met people that they're not really my clients, but they're really good people to know, like in my network, right? So don't just look at it as business, just look at it as expanding your network. And then with time, those are all things, it's not going to come from one day to the next. Like it's going to take time. but you're going to get into, you'll get clients from it eventually. And
you'll enjoy it too, right?
Exactly. And you're happy because you would have been doing it anyway, right?
Yes. So I think that's a great strategy. And then you could just tap into your hobbies. I love that. Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna try to do some of that. I like that, even just because it makes sense. It makes sense.
The same for if you have kids, like, okay, my daughter plays tennis. I'm making her play tennis in specific places. You know, like she could play tennis anywhere. It's the same cost. But like, if I'm going to sit down and wait and talk to people, I want it to be somewhere where I'm farming, you know?
Yeah.
Because if people are like, oh, you're a realtor, how's the market? I don't want to be like, oh, blah, 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 right? I want to be able to talk about it. And when you live in the neighborhood or when you do stuff in those neighborhoods, you know what's going on more.
Yes, I love that. Ding, 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 ding. Write that one down. We're going to be launching our Instagram and everything soon. We're going to be quoting all our guests and all like those super awesome tips that we get. So get ready for that. One's going to go live, Sarah. Awesome. We'll tag you. Okay. So so that's how you started. What are you doing with that you're investing more money in now? Do you have any other strategies now that you're more established?
I try. So that's another thing with hobbies. So I love traveling. Like that's my life. Like that's actually one of the reasons why I work. Cause I'm like, I want to travel more and traveling is expensive. So I travel, like I would say within the past 2 years, 3 years, maybe I'm literally planning trips just to network and to go to events and to meet realtors from other countries, from other states. I think it's really, really important to have a network, a national network.
Yes.
Because how many people are moving to Miami from other states, or how many people are moving to Miami from other countries? So I've made it a point, like for example, my mom lives in LA. Next week I'm going for Thanksgiving, but I'm going extra days so I can meet up with people that I love, meet up with my mentor, meet up with other realtors. Like I think it's really important to do that. Like social media is great, but face-to-face is always the best. Same for networking events. Like if I'm part of Tom Ferry, there's a bunch of national events for realtors. I think it's really important to go at least once a year to one of them, to actually make that investment to go, because even if you end up meeting 1 or 2 people that you connect with really well, those are your 2 people in California, let's say, or that's your 1 person in New York, right? So, you might have a client one day that says, hey, I'm moving to Houston. And then, hey, I have this girl in Houston. And how did you meet that person? You met them in person and you really like their energy or whatnot. So within the past 2-3 years, I've been very, very intentional about traveling.
I found that Compass agents do this super well. Do they tell you to do this? Or is it just a coincidence that the ones I know do some form of this?
All do that because there's groups in Compass that you can be in where there's like 1 agent per region and stuff. I'm in one of those groups too. So
that's cool. I like that. I'm sure other brokerages that are national have their form of cross referrals too, but making it intentional. So you want to go for the weekend to New York, add an extra business day or 2 and do meetups. I know we're going to have another guest coming on soon that does this very, very well. He goes and visits around. Darnell. Do you know Darnell?
No.
Darnell just agreed to be on our show.
Okay.
So, and he, I
heard it. Broward agent?
Yes, he's a Broward agent. Yeah. And he posted on Facebook that he's going there. Who wants to meet up? And he had like 15 agents that he'd never met show up to like.
That's literally what I did in LA. Well, pre-COVID, because my mom was there. And I just put on my IG, like, hey, like, I'm going, like, that was a couple of years ago. I was like, hey, I'll be in LA. Like, who? And I had a bunch of people like reach out to me. And one of them became literally, like, I'm not even joking, became one of my best friends since I moved to the US.
That's amazing.
They met with you?
Yeah. Like another agent, we just like went for coffee and like, we like immediately click and she became one of my best friends. So it's like, you never know, you can make friends, it's good for networking. So.
And you can write off the trip.
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying, guys. These are all marketing expenses that you can write off. I don't really send mailers or anything like that. I do more things digitally, but I find that just in person, like face to face, is really, really awesome. Right now, even if you can't do face to face.
How have you pivoted like your marketing and relationship building in this time?
Well, I've always done things more digitally, except for whenever I need to meet if I'm in another city. But right now, since we can't really meet people, I do a lot of Zooms. So
cool. Yeah. Zoom.
Build those relationships with those realtors is really important.
Yeah, for sure. I love that.
10,200 followers on your Instagram. I'm
What
stopping
did you say?
right now. You have 10,200 followers. What's your secret?
Be yourself.
Amen. I like that.
Be yourself. You're not gonna get those followers by just posting houses and posting your just sold live. Just nobody cares.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, it's good to put that a little bit of that so they know what you they know who you are, but not just that. You do a great job of mixing
Melinda,
it up.
like I know you moved. Like I think that's awesome. It's more relatable.
Yeah. Like,
you know,
I know your daughter goes to French school, right? I know that just because. So it's like we know that about each other. We know each other, but we know things about each other. Not because I say, "Hey, I'm moving," you know, if, for example.
But I think it's cool. Then I relate more to you. You know, like you can, or like for me, like okay, my daughter, I speak French to her, but then some people reached out. Like I have a client now. I'm doing almost an entire relocation, and it's because of Instagram. And it's a French company who's relocating their 6 engineers. It's rentals, but it's very high-end rentals. And they followed me. And one of the engineer's wife found me. And she was like, oh my God, she always talks about her daughter in French. And we all want to put our kids in like French school. So she probably knows the French school. So now I'm doing like an entire relocation because of that, right?
That's amazing.
Awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Amazing. So I love that. I mean, now obviously you have more followers, so the reach is bigger. How did you say you would be yourself, of course, but were you working more with the hashtags? Were you working more with following other people? What were some of the strategies that you used to grow that as you, other than being yourself, which of course is, you know, the most important thing?
I think that just focusing on Instagram and not just going on Facebook and going on posting more stuff on Instagram. And, you know, people love reality TV. So making and it's free, right? So you can create your own reality TV. You can, you know, I think out of all my followers, I think at least a third of them are realtors. So not being afraid to interact with other realtors because we're family, right? We can help each other out a lot. So I just think that, you know, just being yourself, posting your stuff, talking about your failures too. I think that, you know, when I say keeping it real and being yourself, it's not just talking about when things are going really well, right? I've posted like, sometimes like I make fun of things and I'm just like, well, guys, these are the photos that I have to send to my clients. Like these are the listings. And in the listings, it's like horrible photos. You see like a dog in the photo
I love when you do that. I love when you do that. And actually when I was looking for a house, I found it. Remember I tagged you?
Yeah. But you know what's crazy? You know, like a bunch of people tag me too, because I'm always making fun of like the crappy photos, right? That realtors take. And sometimes I'll like film it and I'm like saying a commentary on it and like people, but this is really how I am like all the time, right? I'm always making fun of things and I give like my commentary and people think it's hilarious. But then when people like, not just in Miami, like literally all over the States and Canada, whenever they see like bad photos on the MLS, they're like posting it and they're like tagging me and they're like, oh, check out this one, you know? So
I love that. It's just a great way to because it's not just about people following you, it's about the engagement, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And having ways for them to remember you and reach out and tag or DM or whatever. So
engagement,
I love that.
Is huge. You know, there's polls, and you don't have to put polls about real estate. Like I put like, I'll be like, do you guys think I should dye my hair lighter again? Like you can just put polls and then people engage. And when they engage, it's like they're following you in a better way, right? So you're like building a community.
Yes, I love that. So don't forget, guys, ask questions in the chat. I know people wanted to ask while I ask her this next question. What are you reading right now?
What am I
reading?
Oh, I'm reading a book called Mastery of Love.
Mastery of Love. I think I saw you post about that and I asked you about that. I love that.
Author that wrote it's
Love
the
Languages?
same author that wrote what's it called? The 4 Agreements, which is
the 4 Agreements. Yes.
It's the same author that wrote.
Oh, cool. I just wrote that down again to remind me to get that. What are some other books you've read that were like game changers for you that really gave you that good click?
There's a book called The 7 Levels of Communication.
Mm-hmm.
Is that which one?
You're gonna like that book, Anthony, because it talks about a guy that's married to a lender. No, and both of them are going through this thing. So this book is all about, I'm going to write it in the chat.
Yes. 7 Levels of Communication.
But I'm going to write the 2 books.
Yes.
What way? I can't.
Here, I'll do it while you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So the 7 Levels of Communication talks about networking, like when you meet people at events and how to follow up with them, how to send like a handwritten note, how to just stay in touch with people in a really effective way. So I think that really helped me at the beginning when I had, again, no marketing money, no money of anything, like to do anything. So I would just follow the things in the book and like send handwritten notes and, you know, just really it's really about, you know, when you meet other professionals for business, it's about helping them, not about you. Just focus on helping them and what you can do for them and how it works like karma, right? So that book really, really, really helped me not just at the beginning, but I still go back to it once in a while to take a look at it.
That's a lot like the giver's gain, right? Like, how can I help you?
Yeah.
When you sit down and like, who do you want to meet? What's your ideal client? How can I help you?
Exactly. And like, but it's very strategic. There's like 7 levels to it. Like there's like, it's very, very precise. And like, I followed it exactly, especially at the beginning. I still do it, not as much, but you know, at the beginning when I literally had no client. So I followed it really well. I like the 4 agreements too. I think that it has nothing to do with real estate, but when you're a realtor, you go through a lot. You go through a lot. You deal with a lot of personalities. You cry sometimes. Like it's a lot of emotions. So that book really helps you navigate all that. You know, it'll tell you like one of the agreements, for example, is, you know, what others say is because of them. It's not because
not about you.
Yeah, it's not about you at all. Like
that's my favorite one.
Yeah, me too.
Because I take things so personally, and even though I know logically, sir, it's not my fault sometimes, or people are just frustrated. It's like it's so easy to take things personally, and then it just pivots your whole day.
You're passionate about what you do, and if you're not passionate, you're not going to give a shit. So that's basically it.
Yes. But it's a good reminder. I'll never forget. It took me a few tries to read that book and be ready for it. So sometimes you might pick it, the 4 agreements.
Yeah, me too. It's not like it's short, but it's very like, you know.
Yeah. And the first time I read it, I'm like, I can't read this. I put it down. Like 2 years later, I picked it up again and I was like, oh my gosh.
It's so good.
After I started coaching and more mindset stuff. And then it was different the way I read it.
Another book, you know, there's people that say, you know, it applies to anything in life. That's 100% true. Nina, you're right. And another book that helps not just realtors, but anyone is The Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents. That one too. Like the first time I read it, I'm like, these people are crazy. Nobody does that, you know? And then I started like waking up early and it's really changed my life. So,
yes. So, I have a question back on the traveling. So when you set up these little mini getaways, how do you like initiate these Let's Meet Up? Or do you go for a conference and try to like carve out some time? Or are you pitching Let's Meet Up on social media or a bit of both? Or what do you, well, now it's different, right? But when things were really normal before, I guess.
Yeah, no, but okay, let's talk normal times, you know?
Yeah.
So normal times, usually whenever there's a real estate event, so there's different things. There's like Tom Ferry events and they're all open to the public. There's Buffini events, there's conferences, there's Inman, you know, Inman, they'll do a conference. The Association of Realtors, they have different conferences all around the nation, right? So whatever conference you find, when you sign up for it, usually they already have meetups. They already have like networking events as part of it. So I found that for me, a lot of times it's in like the Facebook groups. Like you'll have a Facebook group for the event and then people will like do meetups, or sometimes I literally just wing it, right? Like I'll go there, like I have no plans for sure. Like on the agenda, you'll see like, oh, happy hour from 5 to 7. And while I'm there, like I might like meet a couple of people and be like, hey, you guys want to do maybe breakfast tomorrow morning? And then like super last minute, maybe, because usually you stay at the same hotel as everyone. So a lot of times I wing it, or sometimes, you know, like at Compass, for example, like we have this thing called retreats. We used to, I hope they come back next year, where, you know, it's twice a year. And once a year, like it's like, well, like twice a year, and it's always like in a new city. So when the city was Miami, and you know that a couple of months in advance, I created like a networking event. Like I created a meetup at a restaurant and I got like sponsors and things like that. And for me, I'm like, if I'm doing a meetup, it's not just a meetup. I wanted to give value. So I did like a panel where with me and other agents, we were like 4 agents, and we did kind of like a panel and just to help out other agents with, you know, with social media and whatnot. So, you know, we want like whatever meetup that I've organized was always to give back. Like, why would people want to come to my meetup instead of another meetup? I was like, I want to give them something in return, right?
Value, right?
Yeah, I want to give them value. So I organized the one in Miami, but usually I just like go to other meetups. You'll find them on the Facebook groups, or or just go there and just be very open-minded and have some time open to just, sometimes it's not even a meetup. Literally, sometimes it's been going to breakfast with 3 other people I met and just like talking and getting to know each other, right? So I think those were even more effective than like large meetups.
Yeah, because you get the more one-on-one time and really start to unwrap the layers of the
or even for lunch, like you'll go to these events and there's like a 1.5 hour lunch. And it's like, instead of just doing it by yourself or, just like go with someone, maybe that's by themselves also and, get to know them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Question.
I always, when I go to conferences and I want to, I'm alone, my biggest thing is like, I find usually I'll approach a woman just because it's easier for me and more like I'm married. I don't need to go like whatever. So I go like, I'll approach another woman that I like her style. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? I love your shoe, whatever. It's an easy icebreaker. Give them a compliment. You start having a conversation, and it's an easy way to have a relationship, build a new relationship and a new friend when you're there. And I'm telling you that it's easy, really easy to do, because everyone loves getting a compliment. So it's a little trick
it's true.
There. We have another question here in the chat. Anthony, you want to read it?
Yeah, it's my understanding in order to be $1 million listing agent, you have to invest moolah. I market in open houses, which are very discouraging for my agents trying to break through. What would be the best opinion that you can help me out with this?
So when you say to be $1 million listing agent, you have to invest a lot of money in marketing and open houses, which could be discouraging for agents trying to break through. What's your opinion about this? So, okay, that's a great question because when I got my first $1 million listing, I had like no money. I was like, even for my photos, I was freaking out. I was like, I don't know what to do. And unfortunately, he doesn't live here anymore. But at the time, I had a lender who like really believed in me, like he was just like, listen, like I'll help you out. Just like, please, like just market my services at the brokers open and whatnot. So this is when I learned how the importance of relationships also, because when you have good relationships and maybe you don't have the budget for it, it's an opportunity for another business person. Lenders, you guys want to meet realtors. What's better than a broker's open, right? So I had the lender just literally pay for everything for the broker's open, either title attorneys or whatnot. If you form those relationships and you're honest and you say, listen, I need your help, and you can't give them anything in return, but you can tell them, listen, I'm going to do so much marketing. I'm going to make sure that at least 20 people come or whatnot. So you get to meet these people. I'll send you the list of everyone who registered. That way you can follow up with them. So when I did it, even for my photos, to be honest with you, like my first $1 million, I could afford the photos, but then you have to do drone and you have to go. And I've never been the type of agent that likes to do things mediocre or just like take photos with my cell phone. I'm like, even if I don't have the money, I'm going to find a way. And I remember getting the lender to pay for the photos at the time. And I told him, I'll pay you back like at closing. And he was just like honest. In the end, he was like, thank you so much. Like, you don't have to pay me back. But it's just, forming relationships and also being honest with, when you need help. Or you might, like, for example, let's say I have a $20 million listing. A $20 million listing is at least $10,000 in marketing minimum. So I already know that if I get a $10 million or $20 million listing, no matter the experience I have, I would rather co-list with an agent that's done that 1 million times and that has $100K marketing budget per year. I'd rather like get their help and go together and maybe use her resources and then my drive, because they might not have the same time to do the showings and things like that. So sometimes it might be better to join forces with someone if you don't have the budget.
I love that.
That's a great suggestion. Idea. Definitely.
Cross-pollination right there, man. That's awesome.
Having said that, Sarah, question. So you talked about earlier, there's a lot of agents here that are maybe thinking about coaching, right? Great idea. I love that idea. But the cost, right? So they can't switch to a Keller Williams outfit, right? For the coaching.
Why not?
But let's say they're not. What would you recommend to help them with the cost of coaching monthly? How would they go about that in the beginning?
Okay, so the thing that I would do at first, I wouldn't try to find a way to like help with the cost. So like, okay, so 2 things. Number one, you can always get a credit card. If you have some credit, it's worth it. It's 100% worth it to put a couple of months on a credit card if you can, because the return on investment you're going to get from it, you're going to be able to pay that off. Okay. That's one way to do it. And the second way to do it is that there's a lot of group coaching or online courses. So you'll have, let's say the Rhinestone hand, let's say it's $600, but it's like an 8-week course, or it's like a 2-3 months things. There's a bunch of like online group coaching sessions where, you know, you won't have one-on-one coaching, but it's still going to help you out a lot and perhaps help you get, you know, there's challenges, there's a bunch of really cool things, you know, about these, where it's going to make you better, where after you can decide, you know what, I think I need one-on-one, but at least it'll help you get to the next level.
And I'll say with that, with those group calls, those group coaching, there's always the opportunity to ask questions, put yourself on the spot. They usually pick a few people to laser in on the calls. You have to take advantage of those resources that you have and the investment you made, and raise your hand, ask the question, put yourself in there, volunteer for the laser coaching spot, because I remember I used to do that. I always did that in my coaching program, when like go up to the mic, like we used to have quarterly in-person meetings, and you're able to go up to the mic and ask questions with the main leader of the program. So you always caught me on the mic at least once or twice to either challenge or give my own personal example and ask for feedback like to my specific situation. And let me tell you, you really get more value out of it versus just sitting back in the sidelines and like taking notes, right? So get in there, put yourself in, and take advantage and squeeze all the juice that you can out of it, right? And that's a stepping stone, right? So you start building out your little systems and your techniques, and then you'll start seeing some benefit from it, and then you could start investing in more one-on-one once you do those basic stuff, right?
Exactly. And you know, those group things, I still do them to this. Like, even though I'm paying for one-on-one coaching, sometimes like there's like some of the group stuff that they have, like sometimes there's like a 6-week listing challenge, and it's like $200. Like I'll do it just because it's like I like to be challenged, right? So that's a great way to get to step your foot into it, and the investment is relatively low. And it's worth every single penny. And like, honestly, if you don't get anything out of it, it's because you didn't do the stuff you were supposed to do.
Yes, I agree.
So.
I will say there's definitely personality issues sometimes with a coach, but don't be afraid to speak up, ask for a swap on your coach if you're not clicking, because there should be some sort of click for whatever that is, whether you think the person can relate to you, or they're just like the ones that are like, for me, what made me click, I had 2 coaches, and what made me click with them, one of them, he was super hard on me, but I liked that because I'm paying him to do that. So like, I liked how he would be in my face about things. And the other one, she was a mom. She got me. She would like, listen, this is how we got to get done. You can't be doing it like this. You're too much all over it. And so that was my operations coach. And she was really amazing and has a lot to do with how I pivoted a lot of my systems. So finding the connection there, and then don't be afraid to speak up if you're not liking it, but then make sure it's not you.
With coaching, like for me, my first coach that I had with Tom Ferry, she was super nice and everything, but she was too easy on me. She kept congratulating me. I'm like, I don't want anyone congratulating me. I'm
paying you to be me.
No, I literally, that's my personality. Everyone's different. Like I want my coach to make me cry sometimes. I want to get off the coaching call and be like, you know, I want that, because if I don't have that, I don't perform. Everyone's different, you know, like I need someone to like be super rough on me and to make me feel bad, and to be like, what about your daughter? How are you going to feed her? Like I need someone to talk to me like that.
Yeah.
Guys,
I can relate to that.
I saw the question. Dory, hi, I'm Canadian too. I'm like never gonna like say that I'm American. No offense, guys, but I'm super proud to be Canadian. So Doreen Aldana, I don't know who that is.
Okay.
I have no idea who that is. Like the ones I went through, oh my God, what's the name? I went to Wealth Club. I went through Tom Ferry. I tried Buffini for a little bit. Buffini is great if you have a lot of experience and if you're old school, which I'm not, so it didn't work. Or there's a bunch of different people in different markets that offer coaching. The only thing I would say about coaching is make sure that you get coaching with someone like specific to your job, right? Because I know people that try to do life coaching with someone else, but there's things that they're not going to be able to help you with because they don't understand how it goes. So
the best is when like there's like productivity coaches, even the attorney coach program that I did, they're trying to tell me like, you need to structure and only schedule closings at this time. I'm like, that's not how closings work.
No.
I can't just have a 10 a.m. and a 2 o'clock slot, because that's not real life.
No, it's not. It doesn't work
out of
like
the business, right? So yeah. So we have
also, like, one thing I would say, like, don't fall into the whole the whole, you have to like tell yourself that like it's all good. No, you need like coaching. You don't need We have enough YouTube videos and Instagram for that, and like fake coaches for that. Okay. If you're looking for coaching, make sure you get someone who's like really gonna coach you. Who's not just gonna tell you what you want to hear and stuff. Like, they have to really, bring you back to your goals, like
call you out on your shit.
No, like, exactly. Not just like, if you really think hard enough, like, no, because you can think hard enough. If you're not doing the stuff that you need to do, nothing's going to happen.
Yes.
And also the people you're hanging out with too, your lender partners, your title partners, your sphere of influencers, you need to have your little huddles. Like every 30 days, you should be talking to your agents, lenders, and collaborating and saying, how can we get better? How can we grow as a team? You don't necessarily, if you can't afford a coach, that's your starting point right there.
Exactly.
Couple questions.
So we have one more hybrid question I'm gonna bring up here, and then we're gonna have to wrap it up because we're already good for time. But someone asked about designations versus coaching, and if designations carry weight in luxury.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have any designations.
Wow.
And I have an MBA actually, and the only person who told me that I should put MBA in my signature are my parents. So I mean, maybe, but I've dealt with a lot of luxury agents. I've dealt with like the Jills. I've dealt with Dora Puig. Like, I've dealt with a lot of people, and like, I can't be like, oh, this one had this designation, I can't tell you that. I can't be like, oh, like I looked them up, and no, it didn't help. The only thing I would say though, there's a class, I forgot to mention that before, there's a class, speaking of training, there's this thing called the Institute of Luxury Home Marketing, given by the Association of Realtors. I took that course and it was really, really good. It's a really good way to understand how rich people think. Like, for example, if I ask you guys, hey, what do you think is one of the top retailer for people that are wealthy? Everyone's going to say Neiman Marcus. Everyone's going to say, like, for example, I don't know, Nordstrom or whatever. Like the number one retailer where they sell the most cashmere is actually Costco. So
I was going to say Costco. I'm like, I love Costco.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, during that course, you learn a lot about, and I don't have the same MHL, whatever. I could apply for it, and then you have to pay $500 to get that designation. But I'd rather take those $500 and pay my membership at the Perez Art Museum. That's just me. If you feel like a designation is going to help you for educational purposes, I would say go ahead, of course, but not just to have it so that it looks good. Because I don't think that, well, in Miami, I don't think anybody cares. I mean, there's unfortunately agents here that don't even speak English. So like, I don't think that, a designation is something that is going to be like, oh, I'm going to work with her because it says CMH. They don't even know what it means.
No,
that's true. I think it's good if you want to learn more about whatever that topic is.
Exactly. Like, for educational purposes, if you're like, listen, I want to, like, for me, when I did the Institute for Luxury Home Marketing, I'm like, I really want to learn more about the luxury market. It was really for me. It wasn't because, some of them are like buyer's agent designations. You might learn something that you didn't know before. You might, or you might not. You might be like, oh, okay, why did I do this? But just research it. Maybe talk to other people who have it and ask them how they felt about it. But even like at Compass, I don't think so. I
would say if you're a rookie taking those classes, like the buyers, designations, you might get more value out of it.
But then you can also get that by taking a free course at the association. So like, I don't think you need to necessarily, I think it's better to invest in coaching or in any type of like challenges and programs and things like that. That's going to, like, the return on investment is going to be higher.
Yes,
coaching.
I love that.
Question answers coaching then.
Yes, I love it.
Guys, since we're 10 minutes over.
Last call. Last call. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Sarah, for your time. Oh, we do have one more question. I see. Talking about teams. So you have a team now. You mentioned, when did you start When did you start your team?
I started when I started getting like mini panic attacks. So
yeah.
That's it. That's when you know. And I also have a full-time assistant now. And I think that, you know, if you're starting off, maybe joining a team is a great way to get started and to learn. I didn't do that. I went on a team for a little bit, but the team didn't give me anything in return. And I realized I was bringing in my own clients, so it didn't work for me. But if that's also a good way to get started. You know, you might get some free coaching, right? Like the people on my team, they get free coaching because I'm in Tom Ferry, and then they have access to everything. They have access to the events and everything. So it might be a good way. The only thing is it's most teams, it's 50% that they take from your commission. So, you know, you have to remember, yeah, you're getting all that, but you know, you won't have the same commission as if you were on your own. So I think that's really a personal decision.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And what about starting a team? Like, so you said you started your team when you started getting panic attacks, meaning you had a lot of work and you needed someone to help you, basically, right? Mm-hmm. So you have a full-time assistant, and how does the rest of your team look like? You said you have one other agent?
I have 2 buyer's agents.
Buyer's agents.
And my full-time assistant is literally, like, if anyone else leaves, and I love them, but if they all leave, at least please leave me my assistant. Like, I need her. I don't know how I operated without her.
Yeah.
She does all your transaction, like a transaction coordinator?
Mm-hmm. No, she's like my full-time assistant. She schedules showings for me. She does everything. Nice. She does not my social media, but she'll prepare the stuff for social media. She'll answer emails. So she does everything.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, guys, you heard it here first. Well, not here first, but definitely get yourselves a coach, invest in your growth, invest in your mindset. A lot of the things that you're going to get from these coaches is just challenging your mindset that you can do things. And then why aren't you doing it? You know, is one of the big things that, you know,
one last thing I'm going to tell people is that if you guys follow me, I'm just trying to take like a mini social media break.
I saw that. I was going to ask you, actually, could I ask you one more question? I see you're taking a social media break. So can you tell me why you did it, how you're doing it exactly, like technically speaking?
So basically I'm just doing it because like I need a break, you know, like I just need to disconnect a little bit. Just for like a couple of days, just to refocus. You know, it's almost the end of the year. I have some goals that some of them I didn't accomplish, some of them I did. I just need to refocus, and social media is awesome, but it was a distraction. So what I'm doing is that I'm only checking my DMs maybe once a day, and I'm doing it from the computer, and I'm having like my sister go on it to like post some stuff to my stories. So it's literally just for me. I'll be back probably like early next week. I just need to refocus and just, you know, be more like not get distracted and just be like laser focused, you know. But usually I'm on social media like literally all day, every day. So you guys will see when I'm back, I'm like on it all the time.
You're all of the stories.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. And sometimes it's hard because so much of our business is tied into social media. But sometimes I get like, oh my God, I gotta like let this go. And so
yeah, it's hard, you know,
it's very hard.
Yeah, it's really hard. And it's just really a personal thing, you know?
Yeah.
So
I like it. I think it's good for everybody to do every once
in a while.
But
I will follow you guys back. You guys can DM me. I'm going to put my,
I put it in there. I
don't know how to do to everyone. You know what I mean? Like it's not allowed.
You're already set. You're right there.
Everyone. So I'm going to put my email. If you guys, and guys, one thing that I just want to say, I can't like give you guys the blueprint of how to be a realtor or what to do. You know, it's a very personal thing, but if you do have some like very basic, like general questions, feel free to email me.
I love that.
So hold on.
Awesome.
I'm going to put my email.
I think this was a great episode.
I'm putting my personal email, guys, so don't share it, please.
It's going through a live feed. Everyone's gonna have it.
Well, they don't get the chat. They don't get the chat.
Well, by the way, someone asked, is my assistant virtual? She's local in Miami. I specifically wanted someone in Miami who speaks Spanish. So
yeah,
she, you know, if I can go to inspection, she'll go with me. So that's the difference between having a virtual and a in person.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you guys for having
amazing.
Me.
Thank you
so much
for having me.
Hope you guys have an awesome day. Rest of your week, guys. One more month left, pretty much, if we take out the holidays. So let's get it.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. It was awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.